I spoke with one family just outside of Houma where they are living in this trailer a year after the storm, and they say a big delay of why they haven't been able to get back into their house and rebuild just yet is delay of payments from their insurance company.
Down the stairs, it was coming down like Niagara Falls.
Courtney Bro, her husband, and 3 kids rode out the storm in their house in Houma. Water filled the house after parts of the roof blew off. And while she says they'll never stay for a storm again, the real pain came in the months after.
It took us almost a full 2 months to get the camper. So we were actually living in a saturated, fallen down house. We slept on air mattresses in one room.
After sending reports to the insurance company, it took weeks to get someone on the phone. They fought with adjusters to see the full damage of the house, and promised checks were long delayed.
It was just every time it was promises after promises, and the ball kept getting dropped. You know, it was the desk adjuster would quit, or they were overwhelmed, or whatever the case may be.
After involving an attorney, the money started to roll in for repairs, but getting the money from the mortgage company came with more weeks of waiting.
Like, we just recently settled out, like probably about a month ago.
Right, and it's been almost a year since the storm.
And it's almost a year from the storm.
A major challenge is getting contractors who are approved to do the work when contractors are in short supply nationwide.
You take 2 steps forward and then kind of like 4 steps back. You know, you think you doing something good, you get some money, and you're like, oh, finally we got this, and you cross that hurdle, and then there's another hurdle.
It's a similar issue down the bayou where some of Louisiana's state-recognized tribes live.
So it's a question not so much of how you remove all rules, regulations, and protections, because that's problematic in and of itself. It's a question of how you remove the barriers to access that certain populations have.
The tribes have lived along the marshes of Louisiana for hundreds of years, but as it erodes, it makes their way of living more difficult.
Lots of our people are traditional harvesters. You know, they shrimp, they crab, they fish. You know, others work in lots of other different fields. I mean, you know, so we've evolved, but we're still a very traditional community.
Chief Sherelle lost her home in the storm.
I knew when he came back, he couldn't talk. I knew it was gone.
Her neighbors, also elders in the tribe, picked up and left, selling their damaged property to her family to get a roof over her kids' heads. That move disqualified her from a lot of the financial assistance programs. Farther south, many of the Pointe-au-Chien tribal members don't have insurance because the cost is just too much. Some homes show signs of repairs while others struggle to get started.
The beginning went, you know, pretty well. We were getting donations, we were getting volunteers for cleanup. Once that was done, it's been very difficult to rebuild. Like I myself, I have not started rebuilding. My house still sits the way that it did a year ago.
Both the tribes and those who live in southern Terrebonne and Lafourche fear the day when they could be forced to move farther inland.
Part of our tribe's plan, our community's plan, is to absolutely protect and preserve, you know, what we have left in our community, not just for us, but for all living beings. We are not here alone.
They continue to communicate with the state on the unique needs of the people in the bayou communities and push for resiliency centers, insurance reform, and any other measures that can speed up recovery and limit future devastation.